Who'd I say?
Denzel Mims.
Denzel Mims will not be returning kicks this year.
He's returning merchandise because he didn't have any money.
It's the IDP show, now you know.
We're talking training camp news and buzz tonight. I know you guys covered a lot of the big, news pieces last week as well. And we got some up-to-date information here as training camp kind of rolls on. And we got some up-to-date snap counts as well from tonight's preseason games between the Carolina Panthers and New England Patriots and the Detroit Lions and the New York Giants. So we could get into all of that relevant information to get the lovely people ready for their IDP drafts and the 2024 NFL season. But I'm excited. There's not always, a ton of actionable information to take away from these preseason games, but sometimes, there's a way of them telling us the players that aren't playing that gives us a little bit of a hint onto who we should be targeting and who we should be avoiding in some of these preseason games. So have you guys watched any of the games tonight?
Yeah, caught a little bit of the first game there, the Giants game. Seeing how much Isaiah Simmons was playing was a little concerning.
A little too much for your liking.
Yeah, not a fan of that.
A little too late too, right? It was with the second unit.
Yeah, it was a little interesting.
Sorry, it's early.
Yeah, we're still figuring things out in New York.
Yeah, I did an Isaiah Simmons snap count breakdown, and it is not promising through the first preseason game here. But like you said, it is still early. They could still figure some things out, and a couple more preseason games, maybe he shines and can move up the depth chart a little bit. But I guess Aaron's put together this lovely doc here with a whole bunch of updated nuggies for each team defense coming out of camp for us to dip into with some Chick-fil-A Polynesian sauce and chew it up until we can't no more. So let's dive in here, starting in the NFC North. We got the Bears, we got the Lions, we got the Packers, we got the Vikings. Any preference for a team to start here? Anybody that catches your guys' eye as far as the most interesting team in the NFC North right now for training camp news this week?
I'm a little biased. Start with my boys.
Sure. But yeah, we could start with the Minnesota Vikings. And I guess, one of the more interesting things here that Aaron's found in doing his deep dive is that defensive back in second year, sixth rounder out of Tennessee, Theo Jackson has been flashing in camp. Seems to be the safety four right now behind Cameron Bynum, Harrison Smith, and Josh Metellus. Obviously, the Vikings like to utilize three safeties. All three of those guys see the field a ton. They did last year. They all played over 1,000 snaps, I believe. But interestingly enough, this could mean the end of Lewis Cine. I don't know about you guys, but this is not a promising sign. If Theo Jackson is the fourth DB on the depth chart here, ahead of their first rounder who they spent up to get a couple years ago. So I guess, I don't know. I mean, Lewis Cine is essentially droppable. If you've been holding on to him at this point, I don't think we're holding on to him any longer. I know I've dropped him in a few leagues.
Yeah, he is no good.
Yep.
No
Roster
value.
clogger.
Worthless. No, we wish him well. He had a rough start, man. I mean, he had a really brutal leg injury, I remember, but he was playing special teams. He just never really found his footing there in Minnesota. Maybe a fresh start would help him, but yeah, it seems like that's going to be a bust.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I guess, there's not like a ton else in Minnesota. To me, the one team that kind of stood out in this division, at least, was the Green Bay Packers. Probably the most interesting note here is that, of course, Quay Walker starting at linebacker, but it's with Isaiah McDuffie as the LB2 there, and Eric Wilson seemingly starting over Edgerrin Cooper at the moment. How are you guys feeling about Edgerrin Cooper? This is kind of typical, especially early in the offseason, where the veterans will get some more work over the rookies. So personally, I'm not overly concerned about the Eric Wilson thing, but I do believe that Isaiah McDuffie could be a thing this year. Where are you guys at with the Green Bay's LB2?
Yeah, for redraft, I think Isaiah McDuffie is a smash. Redraft, if you've got him, in the best ball ADP is pretty brilliant for Isaiah McDuffie. A guy who, when he had opportunity last year, played really, really well, put up really good stats for us. had some high tackle numbers, had several like double-digit tackle games. I've been a huge Isaiah McDuffie fan for a while. I know Kyle B, shout out, likes him some McDuffie as well. But yeah, I don't know how much ball Edgerrin Cooper is actually going to play this year. I think he's a fine little dynasty hold, but I honestly think that Isaiah McDuffie is a nice little dynasty play as well. Not a super old guy, has shown talent, and who's to say what they do with Quay Walker? Quay Walker's contract stuff is coming up here in the next couple of years, I would say. If Isaiah McDuffie can continue to be a cheaper, more effective linebacker from them, maybe they move on from Quay at some point in the future and they roll with McDuffie and Edgerrin Cooper. I don't know. I get to the point, here in training camp, and we're going to get to the, regular season, and a lot of the things that you think would that's never going to happen. Quay Walker is going to stay with Green Bay. Like, weird stuff happens when the season starts, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, Isaiah McDuffie and Edgerrin Cooper are getting a lot more run than they thought were going to. So nothing's written in stone in week 1 of the preseason.
Yeah, that's the thing with the linebacker position, right? It's just so volatile year to year. Like, we see teams move on from guys who aren't performing well. We see guys that we don't never expect to get starting jobs, emerge up the depth chart just because they're veterans and they have experience and things like that over a lot of the rookies and everything. But I'm with you. I think Isaiah McDuffie is a real nice value right now for IDP leagues for 2024, because we talked about this, I think, way back at the draft too. Teams don't necessarily like to thrust rookies into starting roles right away. And Isaiah McDuffie, like you said, he played well last year. He was filling in for Quay Walker. He was filling in for Devondre Campbell at times. And he did a nice job. Like, he kind of earned that spot. Like, I know it's a different defensive coaching staff, but still, like, there's something to be said about a guy that they can trust that stepped in last year as a starter. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him play the year as the LB2 there next to Quay Walker. And I know he's got 1 year left on his contract this year. I guess is his last year, but you never know. These guys get extended all the time as well. We didn't think Pete Werner was going to get an extension, and there he was getting an extension just today as well. So teams fall in love with certain guys, and McDuffie could be a surprise little pick here.
Yeah, and his defensive coordinator was also his former DC at Boston College too, right? For McDuffie. Yeah. So that's good news. But yeah, McDuffie's going as LB 60 right now versus Edgerrin Cooper going at LB 50. So definitely like that value. I'll take McDuffie as well. I
mean, the Eagles, this is a team that, I'm sure you guys have covered. It's been covered a bunch of times this offseason already with the linebacker situation. Zach Bond has been the guy they're playing as the starter. We know Nakobe Dean is struggling to kind of find his starting spot there. Even Jeremiah Trotter got limited work with the ones at one point. Devin White seems like he's likely going to be locked into the starting spot. So, I mean, Zach Bond stands out as a insane value right now to target in drafts. It just, all signs are kind of pointing in that direction, and things could obviously still change, but I don't know. I mean, I guess Nakobe Dean's another question mark. Like, is there any part of you that wants to get some Nakobe Dean in drafts this year, whether it's dynasty or redraft?
No, thank you. I mean, I think it could work out for Nakobe Dean down the line. We see that happen sometimes with guys like early in their career. Like I kind of comped him to Denzel Perryman. Like, early in his career, he couldn't stay healthy, and then he gave us some really nice seasons down the stretch. That could be reality for Nakobe Dean, I think, at some point. But I don't know. It feels like it's not going to happen there in Philadelphia. I think that they're kind of with the moves Philly's made, they're kind of telling you the same thing, that they don't trust that it's going to happen. And then, I mean, all the news, this entire offseason, none of it's been good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, when you're not able to beat out Zach Bond, and also you have a new DC in there, Vic Fangio, who is a hard ass.
Yeah.
Like, that just doesn't seem like, if this dude's having trouble, staying healthy, that just feels like that's not going to be a guy that Fangio likes,
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the fact that they've chosen Zach Bond over him, a guy that has like, I think less than 200 NFL snaps at actual linebacker, like that's insane to me. So I'm with you. I think the Nakobe Dean, the red flags are just too much to ignore at this point. Like he should be somebody that we're avoiding really at this point. But the other team in the NFC East is the Washington Commanders. We talked about Dan Quinn. Is there, and how frustrating that Dallas linebacker core was last year. Any concern that we can get something similar for the Washington Commanders linebackers this year? I mean, I'm not really concerned about Bobby Wagner as much, but how are you guys feeling about Frankie Louvu potentially being used a little bit more as a blitzer, not being overly effective as a tackler in this kind of man-heavy defense? I don't know. Personally, I don't know. I don't feel overly confident that he's going to be like a strong IDP, but maybe you feel differently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping things are kind of the way they were, but there is that concern that he could play a lot more edge, just because of the personnel there in Washington. They don't really have.
Yeah,
they brought in Dorrance Armstrong. That's nice, but they don't really have a lot of talent there. So I mean, that could definitely happen. I'm still drafting Louvu though as a guy that I think is going to get 100 tackles and 5 sacks. Mm-hmm. I just kind of feel like that's what he is, who he is. I'm hoping that's who he is, right? Because he's still going top 20 among linebackers, and I've taken plenty of them this offseason. But that's also in best ball format. So in redraft leagues, I'm probably not going to have a lot of Louvu just because of that concern, right? I mean, there are a lot of guys. I really just want tackle eaters, for redraft settings. I just want guys that I know they're going to basically pile up 10 tackles a week. That's what I'm looking for. So if you look at my main league, I have Roquan Smith, Alex Singleton, Josie Jewell, Fred Warner. Those are my starting 4 linebackers. Nice little flex there for me. But that's what I want in a linebacker. I don't want to worry about, I need this guy to get a sack to be what he is, a top 12 linebacker. No, I'd much rather just chase the tackles year to year for redraft. So still okay though in Dynasty, I think, for Louvu. I mean, I probably will try and sell though. Now that we're talking about it, I mean, thinking about it a little bit. Yeah, probably a good time to sell.
Yeah, I think he can. I think like for redraft, like you said, like I think he might be one of those frustrating kind of linebackers where, like you said, like he may be a little bit more big play dependent. We don't know when those big plays are going to come, and the tackle floor or tackle ceiling, I guess, maybe isn't as high as it is for those, other full-time linebackers that are just playing more that typical tackle role, and just banking on the consistency from him, I think, is going to be the hard part. But yeah, I definitely see the appeal in like a best ball format for sure, because he's probably going to rush the passer over 100 times this season. He's going to fall into 4 or 5 sacks, and that can be a big part of your week for those best ball leagues. But finding when those weeks are going to be in redraft is going to be a lot harder. So yeah, he's somebody that I'm probably not going to have a lot of in redraft if he's being drafted in the top 20.
Kind of sneaky, a little old too. He's almost 28. So not old, but in dynasty terms, it's like, this is the peak right now. You're probably not getting a whole lot better Louvu. All right. So dynasty, Louvu or Zaire Franklin, Macri?
Zaire for me. I like Zaire. I think, the Colts giving him that contract extension, I think was really promising. I think that really helped me feel more confident about him.
Yeah. All right, 2 more. Louvu or Terrell Bernard?
That's a good question. I think I kind of like Bernard too. I think I'd go Bernard.
Yeah, same. I like Bernard.
Yeah, tackle guy. Last one, Louvu or Nick Bolton?
I like Bolton.
Wow. Bolton's also like 23.
Yeah, 24.4.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Terrell Bernard, 25.3.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd go Bolton.
Yeah, you're right. This is probably a peak little Louvu window. What could you get for Louvu right now? Could you get
maybe a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll cash out for a second, no doubt. I mean, even if it's like a third and a fourth, I'll probably do that.
Macri, we've had a little trade discussions this week.
Yes, we have.
Oh wow, let's hear it, boys.
Louvu or Jameson Williams?
I want JMO.
Yeah, okay. I'll take JMO for sure.
But that's close.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to tip my hand here too much.
Let's tip.
Who do you have? You have JMO?
He has JMO. I've kind of sniffed a little bit.
You have Luvu?
No, I have Nick Bolton.
Oh, you're thinking about sending that?
Macri likes Nick Bolton.
I offered him JMO straight up for Nick Bolton.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do it?
I turned it down.
Wow.
I do like JMO, but there is a concern of like, what's the fourth best receiver for Jared Goff do? I mean, because you've got Laporta, you've got Gibbs, you've got Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
I think it could be really good. I'll be honest with you. I think now that Josh Reynolds is gone, I mean, if the training camp reports are true, and if the video that we're seeing, if he looks like he's actually a different player, it could be really fun. But I can't quit Nick Bolton, man. I can't do it. I talked about it last episode that I was going to probably trade him, and I can't do it.
That's a fair deal. I mean, both those guys are basically the same. Like, I value those guys basically the same.
Yeah, the IDPshow.com. We've got new combined ADP.
That's right, we do.
So if you want to jump in there and see where people are valuing a guy like Jameson Williams versus Nick Bolton, you can see that kind of stuff.
I can guarantee you Nick Bolton's probably going way higher. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, there's a lot of JMO hype right now. And it's just, he's been like one of the noisiest players of the offseason, it feels like, just as far as camp hype videos and things like that. But I'm with you, Bobby. Like, I like JMO as a talent. But again, like you said, fourth option on a run heavy offense as well. So it's Bolton, just, there's upside there too, right? Which is
Bolton in the combined ADP, again, the IDPshow.com is player 149.5, whereas Jameson is 121.
Whoa.
So the crowd likes JMO a little bit better. Wide receiver 49 versus Bolton, I think, was linebacker 9.
Yeah. For the most part, in those combined best balls, everyone is taking offense. Early. Good. So
and JMO is more of a best ball type guy anyways, like as far as big play goes. So that does make sense, I guess. But
you concerned about the elbow stuff, Macri?
For Nick Bolton?
Yes.
Not really. No, I don't think it's going to be anything. There's still so much like off season left. Like if it gets really close, if we're past preseason week 3 and, he's still not practicing, then definitely. But I think he'll be back in there. I do like Nick Bolton. I think he can definitely have a nice bounce back year this year. He only played, I think less than 500 snaps last year or something like that. So
yeah, he was hurt quite a bit last year.
Yeah.
I still just remember when Macri was coming up with the actual tackles versus expected tackles, the spreadsheet that you have there. And Bolton was just like this meteor that was out way ahead of everybody. And I know the PFF numbers are not great right now. And I know his RAS was bad. But man, just watching that guy play ball, you can tell this guy's just a good linebacker.
Yeah, he's exactly what we want for IDP. Like, when you mentioned the tackles versus expected, I think it was 2021 and 2022. He was 98th percentile in tackles versus expected both years. And then last year he was 85th percentile. And again, like he had only played less than 500 snaps and still was able to work his way up to that 85th percentile mark. So not trying to make you feel better about Bolton. I should be trying to do the opposite so you could trade him to me, but
digging deeper.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the NFC South here, guys. We got Tampa Bay, we got Atlanta, we got Carolina, and we got the New Orleans Saints. Why don't we start with the Carolina Panthers since they played tonight here in the preseason? They didn't play their starters. Obviously, I knew this because Kayvon Chason was out there. But they did play rookie third round pick linebacker Trevin Wallace. And he started the game with those backups. His running mate was Clouden Sherrillis. Now, this is relevant because my concern for Wallace right now, I guess, is that Sherrillis was the only linebacker that actually stayed on the field for every snap, while Wallace actually came off the field on a couple of like obvious passing downs. So at least to me, that's telling me that right now, again, we're early in the offseason, but right now that tells me that he's probably 4th on the depth chart behind Sherrillis and obviously Josie Jewell and Shaq Thompson. So there's definitely potential for Trevor Wallace. I wouldn't be surprised if next week, Wallace is the one that ends up being the LB3 there based on the usage. And Cherilus did stay in the game one drive longer than Wallace, but they only played one linebacker on that drive. So I know Trevor Wallace is a sexy kind of dynasty name. So how are you feeling about him, I guess, for year one here? Because there's some iffy linebackers in Carolina with Jewell and Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Shaq Thompson this year just because of, recovering from major injury and stuff, and he's old. I think he's like 30 now. So, I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that maybe Wallace has a window there because of that stuff. But yeah, I'm not expecting much. I've not drafted Wallace anywhere in best ball. Just no thanks. I third round pick. I mean, I
could just be wasted.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that last year with Henley and Dorian Williams, like similar vibes, Drew Sanders, like same type situation. Like it's going to take a little bit of time for these guys. And that was the kind of the thing with Trevor Wallace is like, he was a little bit of a project. Like I think that was like discussed that he was going to take a little bit of time. So, yeah, I mean, the setup that he's in right now is kind of tells you that I think that they're expecting it to, because I mean they have Josie Jewell and Shaq Thompson and whoever this character that Macri just mentioned is. So I wouldn't expect anything from Trevor Wallace year one, at least not early on. Maybe we see him get folded in second half of the season, or maybe if there's an injury or something like that. But I think it's
not something we're expecting.
Right.
Like who's the last big rookie linebacker that was like worth rostering in redraft?
It's been a bit.
Like that wasn't like a freaky thing that like, based on injury ended up getting a bunch of playing time.
Yeah. There was that one class where there was a ton, it's like Darius Leonard, Fred Warner, all those guys in that class.
But that was
Devin
20.
White, maybe.
Yeah. The Patrick Queen year, there was like Jordan Brooks and Queen and Kenneth Murray, but
even still, that was a pretty rough year for
and
them.
all those guys were first round picks too. Like,
Simmons,
these are, third round picks. Like they don't usually get a shot.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So I'm with you. I think, Trevor Wallace, we don't have to worry about him necessarily being a thing outside of injury this year. Other teams in the NFC South, any interest in like Tampa Bay right now? Their nickel spot seems to be locked down with Tyke Smith out of Georgia. I think he's a really exciting player. Adam, you seemed excited about him there. Why don't you talk about Tyke Smith here? Because it seems like he's going to be the starter.
Yeah, man. He was one of my favorite players in the draft. Got that dog in him, no doubt about it. And I mean, it sounds like he's going to be, we kind of expected, like he could easily, he's a versatile player. He could play slot. He could play, deep safety. He could play in the box. He can do everything. Mm-hmm. And so, when you have players like that, and you have, good defensive minded head coaches, like they'll find a way to use guys like that. So hearing that he's already getting an opportunity to play and also play in the slot, which we talk about all the time, just how valuable that is for IDP. And it usually leads to a lot of tackles for those cornerbacks. Just huge news. Will's up for him. I was a little bummed whenever they re-signed Winfield, because I thought that maybe Winfield was going to be way too much for them. And then Tyke Smith was going to walk right into that role, but he's good enough where I think they can all coexist. And he's free on the waiver wire. I mean, that's someone that I've got pretty much everywhere. Yeah. So love Tyke Smith.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, I think if we're looking at maybe like a potential for him this year, this absolute ceiling, if we're looking at a potential Brian Branch of 2024, like Tyke Smith would be like kind of my favorite for that role. Like we know Todd Bowles loves to blitz. That includes his defensive backs. And like you said, Tyke Smith is able to do all that kind of stuff. And again, if he's holding down that starting role for the entire season, I think it could be a really nice, productive role there for the rookie. Anything out of Atlanta or New Orleans for you guys? I know the Saints brought in Justin Simmons, but nothing official there yet.
And they also paid Stinky Pete.
Stinky Pete.
That's right. Pete Werner. Yes. Arn didn't include that in the doc. Arn.
Come on, Arn.
Give him the turd.
What are we paying you for? I mean, no, that's Adam
There you go.
Yeah. Pete Werner. That was a surprise, I guess. Right. Cause I mean, they brought in a bunch of linebackers this offseason. They brought in Willie Gay. They brought in Kaliki Hudson. They got Demario Davis is still there.
Jalen Ford.
Yeah, that's right. They drafted. Yeah. So there's, I mean, I guess some confidence being put into Pete Werner for this team, and locking up a guy for a relatively cheap contract. I guess it was. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but I know it wasn't like a huge deal or anything like that. So I mean, Pete Werner, he did have a good rookie season, but then just kind of faded since then. So if he can stay healthy, maybe there's something there for that LB2 role. I just worry that there's going to be a lot of guys kind of in the mix in that New Orleans defense that I'm not overly interested in that spot right now.
Yeah, outside of DeMario, for 2024, I'm a little less interested in all of them now.
Yeah.
Even Willie Gay, probably.
Yeah, before this news of this contract, I was kind of in on Willie Gay, but now I'm like, I mean, Pete Werner's going to definitely get at least 50% of snaps, I would think. I mean, you can't really not do that after giving this guy some money. So, yeah, I'm not too happy about it. I'm not a big Stinky Pete fan. I think it is good for his dynasty value, though. I mean, this is great for Pete. I mean, Demario Davis, old as hell, and then all those other guys we mentioned are pretty much on 1-year deals outside of the rookie. So I mean, looking at next season, like Pete Werner could be like the only linebacker, in that room.
Leighton Vander Esch
with Jalen Ford. So yeah. I mean, I tweeted today that I'm not drafting him in redraft still. In fact, I think it's definitely going to raise his ADP. So I don't want any part of Pete Werner, but it does tick up his dynasty value for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's still sitting there rotting on my XFFL roster. So if anybody wants to come and get him now that he's got this contract, but yeah, that it is at least a sign of confidence from the team, and that kind of has to be factored into his dynasty value, I guess. And like you said, they're 1-year contracts essentially, and then a really low draft capital rookie on the team as well. So there's potential there that he could kind of bounce back and have some good years left. But anything else for this division? Doesn't look like a ton.
Looks like it was 3 years, 25 million, 17.5 guaranteed. So I mean that's pretty solid.
Yeah,
that's better than I thought it was. Yeah, okay.
Old Stinky Pete knew what he was doing though. He knew that he wasn't going to get that money if he waited. Yeah. Strike while the iron's hot, while you got an opportunity, because old Stinky Pete knows he stinks.
The other piece of news out of the AFC North here, I guess, would have been that the Baltimore Ravens signed Eddie Jackson, the safety there. So to me, I'm curious, because I'll be interested to see how you guys feel about it, because obviously losing Patrick Queen last year, so we're expecting Trenton Simpson to step up into that role. By all accounts, it does seem like it's going to be him. But I'm wondering, does bringing Eddie Jackson in, having a healthy Marcus Williams, having a healthy Kyle Hamilton, all three of these guys, does that mean that this is a team that could potentially play more 3 safety looks, where we do see the Ravens go back to a little bit more dime personnel, where maybe there is, only one full-time linebacker on most weeks, and it limits Trenton Simpson a bit? Like, is that a crazy thought? I don't know. Like, there's just something, like when I saw that signing, it was kind of one of the ones that come to my head, because the Ravens, they haven't been a stranger to using dime personnel in the past, and bringing in an Eddie Jackson, and you already have 2 quality starting safeties. I wonder what that means for potentially the linebackers. Obviously not Roquan Smith as much, but what do you guys think? Is that crazy?
No, that's a good point. I mean, that's definitely a concern, because we want to, we want our linebackers to play at least 80% of the snaps, and that could be in jeopardy for sure. Trenton Simpson could be like a 60 to 80% type guy. And also, he's just young. I mean, we haven't seen it. Like, there could be some growing pains with him. Like, he could get benched for a stretch. We saw that with Patrick Queen early on in his career.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that's Trenton Simpson is somebody that I haven't really been drafting in best ball. And I don't think I will in redraft. I definitely understand the upside and all that stuff, but there's just a lot of good linebackers in that range that he goes, like usually you can get like EJ Speed, Jordan Hicks, guys that I think I can count on much more in 2024. So yeah, I'm avoiding Trenton Simpson.
I agree. Just because it's year 2 for these linebackers doesn't mean that it's all of a sudden like the switch that gets flipped. You know, we. I don't know. The rookie linebackers have bitten us over the years, and so I feel like the longer we do this and the more we play IDP, the more skittish we are to tell people like, oh no, this is going to be a really big year for Trenton Simpson. Like it just linebacker position is hard. And you're playing beside the best linebacker in the game, I think, in Roquan. You know, and the other thing too about bringing in Eddie Jackson is you got to think about the Ravens are thinking about playing Joe Burrow in the playoffs. This crazy passing offense that now has Andre Yoshevich in the slot. They also have Jermaine Burton as well. So I don't know, man. You're exactly right. That's something I hadn't thought about yet. I don't think it really hurts Kyle Hamilton any, but you're right. The one that it probably hurts is going to be Trenton Simpson.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, because you think of it from like just an NFL coaching perspective, right? Like, and you're playing in, you know, against a Cincinnati, for example, and, you know, you have to defend against a high passing offense like Joe Burrow. Would you rather have like a big, thick linebacker out there defending the pass or a speedy defensive back who, you know, you can get upfield and defend one-on-one with wide receivers or tight ends a little bit more easily? So I don't know. It's something at least to kind of keep an eye on. And for me, just gives me kind of another reason to kind of temper expectations for a linebacker that we just haven't really seen in the NFL at this point. So excited about what Simpson can be, you know, if it works out in that way. But again, the NFL has shown us that they don't want to play 2 full-time linebackers, and there's reasons to get these guys, you know, rotated in and out in certain situations.
In Dynasty, you want Trenton Simpson or Peyton Wilson?
Oh man, that's a good one. Trenton Simpson was a third round pick,
I think.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 3rd round.
That's a wash, man. I feel like I might go Peyton Wilson, but
it's close.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks in, it could easily be Trenton Simpson
or Peyton Wilson.
Yeah, right. True.
Macri, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess I'd still probably lean Trenton Simpson there. Like if I'm just, you know, trying to project these guys for the next couple of years, who's going to play the most snaps? Like Simpson at least is starting on the depth chart. We don't have that yet for Peyton Wilson. Not to say that he can't get there, but that would kind of be the bit of the tiebreaker there for me. So I'd probably go Simpson.
That's a tricky one.
Yep.
I'm gonna probably go. Man, I'm probably gonna go Trenton Simpson. He was still really good coming out of Clemson. 6'2", 235, 9.84 RAS.
Yeah.
4.4, 340. Really freak athlete. But we'll see if it can translate because it didn't for Isaiah Simmons. I don't know. True. A lot of these just freaks that come in. I don't know. Ever since Isaiah Simmons has just really worried me. Give me your Nick Bolton. It doesn't have real good RAS and can just sit down in coverage and he'll be fine.
Yeah, it's really like I'm not really putting too much stock into the RAS scores or how athletic these guys are. I mean, I do like to see it, of course, but I mean, I'm really only concerned about it with like the edge guys.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
That's where it seems like it matters the most.
Yep.
And not getting exposed in coverage. You know, if you're terrible in coverage, red flag. But anyways, let's move on to the AFC East, the worst division in football for me, probably.
Is it? Yeah. I mean,
agree? I don't like watching the Pats. I don't like watching the Bills. I'm going to get probably some flack for that. I don't like Josh Allen. I don't like watching the Dolphins, and I really don't like watching the Jets.
Okay, fair enough.
Your least favorite division? You're going to say NFC South.
I'm not a big fan of the NFC East. Okay. Cowboys, Commanders, like
all those games feel the
Giants.
Same. Yeah, good point.
Like they got neighbors. That's nice now.
And Jaden Daniels now. So
that is, So I mean, it could be trending up.
Yeah,
but I don't know. The Cowboys being in the division also it makes me easy to pick them as well.
For sure.
It's fair. So yeah, let's talk about this boring ass division. So we got Buffalo. I mean, nothing overly exciting here. We know that Cole Bishop and Mike Edwards are still out with injuries, so we don't have a great grasp on who the starting safeties are going to be there outside of most likely Taylor Rapp and somebody else. So we could wait till one of those guys get back. there's literally nothing of excitement for Miami. The Jets, still no Hassan Reddick. And in Aaron's note here, Hassan Reddick has already been fined $1 million from holding out.
Wow.
That is insane. As a poor, I take that personally. That is,
in this economy, that's pretty rude, disrespectful, bro. Like,
dude, that's an insane amount of money to just pass up. I mean, but I don't know. He's got to show up at some point, right? I don't know. Like, what's the reason for the holdout? Like, does he wants another contract here?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand what the play is there, or what he thinks gonna happen. Maybe it'll work out for him. I mean, maybe we'll look up in a week and he's got a nice little bag, but very odd way to go about it. I do feel like he's gonna eventually come back. I mean,
yeah, they brought him in because Aaron Rodgers is there, and they know that it's like 1 year,
and they really need him.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they got a young group there now. They got rid of John Franklin Myers. Bryce Huff is gone. Carl Lawson's gone, which he wasn't anything there anyway.
I was listening to a pod the other day, and they were talking about how good the Jets defense was. They were like, yeah, it's a top 5 defense. And I was like, is it though? I don't feel like it is.
I mean, if they don't get Hassan Reddick.
Yeah. Reddick is a key piece of it, right?
Yeah.
Because Will McDonald's still really young and inexperienced, but I mean, he could definitely, like, he's got potential. I like Jermaine Johnson, obviously Quinnen Williams in the middle there.
Yeah.
They got like good pieces on the defensive line. Linebackers solid with CJ Mosley and Quincy Williams, right? They got Sauce obviously on the outside.
Sure.
Safeties are good. Yeah, I mean, they were like a top defense last year. It was just their offense was abysmal. So
I guess so.
Yeah, good cornerbacks. DJ Reed, Michael Carter, the other Michael Carter. Well, on RSO, the running back Michael Carter is the pitcher of the defensive back Michael Carter.
Is it? Okay.
Come on, RSO.
Yeah, that checks out.
And it's been like that forever since he's been drafted, and it's never changed.
God.
So we love you for your quirks, RSO.
So there's not a ton there. The Patriots did play tonight as well in the preseason, but they only played like a couple of their starters. Kyle Duggar played, Christian Gonzalez played, but that was really about it from them. Obviously, Matthew Judon's still awaiting a new contract. No Juwan Bentley with the linebackers. They held him out of this game, so they played Jelani Tavai and Raekwon McMillan as the starting linebackers there. So maybe gives a sense at least of who is 2 and 3 on the depth chart behind Bentley. But other than that, like, there's not a ton here with the Patriots other than, until Matthew Judon gets back.
Reddick has a base salary of $14.2 million in 2024. So I guess he's just wanting to be re-upped.
Wow.
Interesting.
Christian Gonzalez actually has a pretty healthy ADP. He's cornerback 12.
Yeah.
That interesting?
Yeah, that first couple games before he got hurt last year is really affecting that ADP. People saw the real freak.
People looking at points per game.
Exactly. He had a 30-point game, I think, in there that's really affecting it.
He was good to start, yes.
Plus, he's got first-round draft capital, so people get hyped about that, right?
For sure.
Towards ACL, I mean, that's I like him fine, but I mean, that's I don't know. There's not much value there when he's going CB12, DB40 overall.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. Not, it's again, you're spending up on cornerbacks. You're just asking to get burned here. There's just so much volatility with the position. So don't chase those points from last season. They're just not going to copy and paste over to 2024 here. So let's go to the AFC South. We got the Tennessee Titans, we got the Colts, we got the Texans, we got the Jaguars. There's nothing really going on with the Texans. I pretty much literally nothing. The Jaguars, again, nothing really there. The Colts, the only thing with the Colts right now is they're still trying to figure out who the next starting safety is going to be next to Julian Blackmon. And right now it's between Nick Cross, Rodney Thomas, and someone called Josh Raymer. I don't know who is going to emerge here as the starter, but the main thing is going to be who's going to be playing the strong safety role. Because Gus Bradley's defense does deploy a safety close to the line of scrimmage more than any other defense in the league. So there's IDP potential there. Last year it was Julian Blackmon. I know that he's been practicing deep a little bit more, so maybe they're looking for a better fit in that box role this year. And if we get an idea of who that is, that could be somebody that we could be looking to target in IDP drafts.
Josh Raymer here in the ranks, safety 84.
Okay.
He is listed here at 5'9", just a flat 200, and a 1.8 RAS.
That's got to be a mistake. There's no way he's that high. He's negative somehow.
Yeah, really, really impressive numbers there for Josh Raymer out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. We'll see if he could. I mean, Nick Cross and Rodney Thomas haven't really shown a lot of promise, so maybe that Josh Raymer character can emerge.
So, do you not think there was any hype to Justin Simmons there? Like, I thought that was maybe going to be like a done deal.
It just feels like a no-brainer. I don't know why they wouldn't do it
in like New Orleans, and that's kind of like, huh? But anyways, it just seems like the need for a guy like Justin Simmons is like just perfect for Indianapolis. Unless he just wants a bunch of money. I mean, maybe that was his play this year of just being like, look, I've been here forever. I don't want to do training camp again. Somebody's going to need me and they're going to pay me a bunch of money come, mid-August. Maybe that's the play for a guy like that. Cause Justin Simmons is what, like 30, 31 probably, but still a really solid player.
Yeah, he's still really good. I mean, one of the top safeties in the league still, I'd imagine. I think I saw him in that NFL top 100 ranking somewhere in the 50s or something like that. So obviously the players still regard him highly as well, but not that there's like a lot of stock to put into that. But he is good. It makes sense that the Colts would be interested in him. I don't know why they wouldn't sign him. I mean, New Orleans does, I guess, have a need as well. Like they have Jordan Howden as a penciled in starter right now at safety, which we don't have like a lot of NFL sample on him and what he could be for a full season. But I mean, yeah, if you can upgrade to Justin Simmons, why wouldn't you? So we'll see. We'll see what happens here with these Colts safeties. Other than that, Tennessee, we got some T'Vondre Sweat looks impressive. We got more teammates hyping up Kenneth Murray. L'Jarius Sneed describes Kenneth Murray as a bulldog in the middle of the field. I feel like Kenneth Murray must be like one of the best teammates because I feel like that's all I've seen is teammates talking him up. When like as a linebacker, you watch him on the field, he's really not very good. So he's going to be the LB1 there. So there's IDP value to get out of him. But I mean, are you buying anything like long-term for Kenneth Murray? I guess beyond this season, do you think he has any kind of dynasty value here?
So I do remember when Kenneth Murray was drafted, I think he came from a family that had like I think he had several siblings and I think he helped raise a lot of them. So I think character wise, Kenneth Murray is like super high. So people probably respect him from that, but you're exactly right. Once you get into actually like the season and watching him play and looking completely lost, I think there's going to be a whole lot more Cedric Gray and Jack Gibbons talk at some point. Maybe it ends up okay for him, but I don't know, man. This guy just, from a PFF perspective, looks like he's just not a great linebacker.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
They also signed Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. What's that, Adam?
Addie's in.
I'm okay. I mean,
okay.
I think he's going to get plenty of run this year. They did give him a nice little contract.
Oh, for sure.
It was like 2 years, 15 mil. And it is just Jack Gibbons and a 4th round pick behind him. So Jack Gibbons was what, like a 6th round pick himself. So yeah, I mean that's a pretty good setup for Kenneth Murray. I mean, one of the few setups in the league where it's like, okay, I mean, he could have gone a lot of different places where I'd be like, I don't like him there. But this seems pretty good. I mean, we just saw Azeez Al-Shaair come from there and was extremely productive. So Kenneth Murray's still young. Sometimes it does take a while for these linebackers to find their footing. Sometimes it takes that second team. Maybe that's the case here with Kenneth Murray. I mean, what could you buy Kenneth Murray for right now? Could you go acquire Kenneth Murray for a 4th round pick?
I would hope so. Yeah,
probably not.
Would you do that? So? I would do that in a heartbeat if I could.
I think it would cost a 3rd.
Right. I think that's. I agree. Would you spend a 3rd?
I would never spend a 3rd. No,
probably not.
Me neither. but I'd spend a fourth.
If I needed a linebacker and I know I could get somebody like that's going to be a starter this year for a 4th round pick, Kenneth Murray would kind of be the type of guy that I'd be looking to get. And I'm with you. Like, it's a great spot for this year, potentially beyond as well if they don't add to the position, right? So yeah, we're just looking for snaps for the most part, right? And if he's going to be on the field, that's more important than anything else.
So in Dynasty, Kenneth Murray or Deion Henley?
Oh man. I mean, I think, boy, if Henley gets the job though,
yeah.
I mean, I'd still probably go Kenneth Murray. I think Kenneth Murray's going to have a good year. I'd like to flip Kenneth Murray after he starts out strong. And I think I think there's still a chance that Henley could be a bit of a struggle for the year. So I mean, because there's still Perriman, there's still Junior Colson coming back at some point.
Yeah.
Nick Nyman's there, I think, right? He actually played ahead of Henley last season.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got an oddball for a head coach. Anything can go. So I'd probably go Kenneth Murray, sell him after the hot start because I do think he's going to start hot.
You agree, Mac?
Buy back in on Henley.
Yeah.
I'll buy back in on him. I think there's chances to buy back in on Henley potentially.
For sure. Mm-hmm. I still love Henley.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, he was really good in college. But yeah, I think I'd still prefer Kenneth Murray as well. Like, and we know too, like 1st round draft capital just gets you jobs later on down the road as well, right? Like NFL teams look at that and they see value in that and they'll continue to give these guys shots. So, I mean, look at Devin White. Like, he was god awful. And now he's potentially a starting linebacker here in Philadelphia, even though Tampa Bay wanted no part of him. Their teams figure that they can, untap that potential with these guys. And I think Kenneth Murray could be one of those guys that kind of sticks around a little bit as well.
Okay, last one. Kenneth Murray or Leo Chenal?
Yeah, I love me some Leo Chenal. I mean, I think it's a very similar thing with the Henley question, but I'm probably more optimistic for Leo Chenal.
Yeah.
So I just give me Leo Chenal, I guess.
Chenal's one of those situations in like redraft or best ball to where it's like, if you take Bolton, you had better take Chenal at some point too.
Yep. That's
your gotta be handcuff. Because Chenal's going to get some play with a healthy Bolton, but if Bolton goes down, it's freaking Tranquil and Chenal 100% of snaps.
Yep.
Mac, what do you think? Chenal guy?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I feel pretty much the same way with as Adam. I like Kenneth Murray still over Chenal, but I do feel better about Chenal than Henley, I guess.
Okay.
All right, let's go to, I think this is our last division now, the AFC West here. So we got the Las Vegas Raiders, we got the Kansas City Chiefs, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Denver Broncos. Looking through quickly here, I mean, the Raiders, there's not like much here with the Raiders. There's some Tommy Eichenberg hype, but again, probably not going to play ahead of Divine Diablo or Robert Spillane. Divine Diablo has bulked up as well. And then there is one note on Tyree Wilson, who had a slow start to camp, but recently he got a couple of pressures. I don't know if that's qualifies as hype, but I guess it's the coaching staff trying to find out something nice to say, which is something, I guess, for their former 8th overall pick here heading into year 2 that I think we still have to kind of be patient with. For Kansas City. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The most important thing, Mac, let's go to it. I mean, you don't have him. Move your head real quick. Do you have him? You still got him on the wall. Yeah, old Derwin James back there. Derwin going to start playing offense, Macri?
Oh my God, that would be so amazing. It might not do anything for, fantasy shares or anything like that, but just to see Derwin out there on offense, potentially catching passes in like some trick play situations would be, it would be like a fever dream. I would love to see it. That would be so exciting. But I mean, they don't have anybody else. I mean, like Josh Palmer, I think Lad McConkey's could definitely be good, but what they've gotten out of Quentin Johnston so far has been, terrible. So why not give Derwin a chance? We know he's a do-it-all safety. Make him a do-it-all offensive player as well.
Like prime time.
Hell yeah.
That'd be tight. Mm-hmm. That'd be real tight. What about a guy that I think is pretty solid in these best ball drafts? Alohi Gilman.
Yeah.
Nice little value. Sounds like he's going to be the starter again alongside Derwin James. Not Nice little value at the end of your drafts. You pulling up the ADP, Bob?
I am. I get you.
I guarantee you it's like,
oh yeah, he's probably outside that top 60 range. Yeah.
Y'all are psychos. DB 60, safety 41.
So that's the thing, right? Like he's one of those guys that I think that fits that, fade DB target range perfectly well, because we know he's going to be a full-time starter. We know that, playing on a defense where they're relying on those defensive backs to do a lot of work. And, with Derwin moving around all over the place, Gilman's going to see a lot of targets his direction as well. Right. So I like the potential there, especially for that cost. It literally costs nothing and you're getting full-time safety snaps. So again, another one of those reasons not to spend up on the position. Other than that, though, yeah, Junior Colson is still out. Diane Henley and Denzel Perriman are starting right now for the Chargers. So, I mean, if that holds through to the start of the year, that could be interesting. But I still really do feel like the Junior Colson's going to emerge at some point here, whether it's over Perriman or it's over Henley. It just makes so much sense that, having that connection with Minter and with Jim Harbaugh, that he gets it significant playing time here. But again, he's not healthy right now, so that definitely puts a damper on him.
Yep, and Macri, I think you're kind of bullish on Denzel Perriman. I pulled up your exposure over at dynasty-daddy.com. You have 100% exposure to Denzel Perriman.
Insane, right?
You're a fan.
Yeah, it's a small sample size for sure, but somehow I keep ending up drafting him in that range where I'm just like looking at players who I just feel are pretty gross. And I'm like, you know what, Denzel Perriman, I'm not really concerned about him being a starter. Like it's more between Henley and Colson for me. So why not? Why not take the shot? We know he's been a productive tackler in the past, and if he's going to stay healthy, which has been one of his biggest issues, then maybe he pans out. So I guess I keep having that same thought over and over in these drafts, and that's why I keep being the one to draft him.
So Macri, when we have Josh buy you a Perryman jersey to put between Crosby and Derwin, do you want him? Do you want the vintage Raiders jersey or do you want the new Chargers jersey?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, they were representing both teams here that I already have behind me. I mean, I'm never going to say no to a nice powder blue Chargers jersey.
Okay, smart.
Yeah. All right, and then the rest of the AFC West teams, we kind of touched on Nick Bolton already. There's not a ton else to talk about there in Kansas City, but Denver is the only other team here. So Denver released Caden Stearns, their safety. Remember, he had like his IDP 15 minutes of fame. I think he played like 3 snaps one game and had 2 sacks or something like that a couple years ago.
People still remember.
Yeah. It was a true highlight. And their edge starters right now are Jonathan Cooper and Baron Browning. Those guys seem to have the edge, pun intended, for being the starters here for our IDP targets in Denver. Not like amazing targets, but I mean, they could be very volume heavy guys. They had decent pass rush metrics behind them. I think they could be nice, sleepy little targets here to grab in the middle to late rounds of drafts.
I love all those guys, man.
Nice.
Zach Allen, Baron Browning, Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper. Yeah, he's the guy that gets probably the most disrespect, even though I think he had the best season out of everybody.
He had an amazing season.
Yeah, he was awesome. So that's a fun group, man. They also got John Franklin Myers there now too.
Right.
Jonah Ellis, we talked about him a little bit. So yeah, it's a fun group, man. I like all those guys. I think they'll be sneaky week to week.
Nice.
I want to go back up too before we move on. Tommy Eichenberg is probably a guy I'm going to be still tacking on at the end of the best balls.
Mm-hmm.
Right now going as LB 100. I don't know, man. There's not a lot of guys there in front of him, Yeah. What is it? Diablo and Masterson. 2 guys that are just Masterson. Is that right?
Spillane
LB1.
Is Masterson still there?
Masterson's still there. Yeah.
Okay. Eichenberg, though, is a guy that I kind of liked coming out of Ohio State. And, if they're saying now that he's playing decent in coverage and has a couple pass breakups. I don't know. It's just a name. It's kind of like a little Trevin Wallace. I'm not so sure that he's going to have a ton of play in 2024, but he could. That Raiders team is probably going to be pretty terrible. They might want to find out what they have in some of these young guys later on in the season. So
yeah, I like Eichenberg quite a bit. And also Spillane, I think his contract is expiring. So, I mean, there's a world where he could be like, sitting atop the depth chart next season. So
Diablo's probably getting close to the end of his rookie contract too. He's been there a while. He's either in his third or his fourth year. But anyways, yeah, we're not going to talk on this show about like the top of the funnel. We're talking about Tommy Eichenberg, Trevin Wallace, Alohi Gilman, Caden Stearns, Jonathan Cooper,
all the
Denzel
unknowns.
Perryman.
That's what we're interested. We're interested in the guys that have potential, right?
Yeah. Well, how about one more kind of dark horse name here to close us out? Also on the Denver Broncos. So Alex Singleton, obviously he's locked in there as the LB1 in Denver. They also brought in Cody Barton. But apparently there is like a legitimate competition going on between Barton and Jonas Griffith, who Jonas Griffith it missed all of last year with an injury. But if you remember the year before that, he flashed quite a bit. Like he's a really athletic linebacker and was really productive when he got his chance. So I'm kind of like holding out hope that we get a Jonas Griffith resurgence here. And that's one that I've kind of tried a bit following closely here. In the offseason, our buddy Jake Colhagen was over at Denver Broncos camp this week. He was getting a peek, and I asked him about Griffith, and he did say that Griffith is working clearly as the next guy behind the starters there. And from the coach speak and stuff like that, they do seem to like him as well. And I think there's at least a chance that Jonas Griffith can beat out Cody Barton at some point this offseason or during the season, because it's not like Cody Barton's an amazing linebacker either, but I don't know, just a name to kind of keep in mind, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. And I remember like before he got hurt last season, like there was a lot of talk about like him being the starter, like with Josie Jewell, right? It was like before,
right? Yep.
Maybe it was before like. I think it was when it was like Singleton, Josie Jewell, Jonas Griffith.
To finish 2021, week 15 against Cincinnati, 79% of the snaps, he had 8 tackles. Next week against Vegas, 81% of the snaps, 13 tackles. Week 17 against the Chargers, 100% of the snaps, 12 tackles.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right, Mac.
I think that, in 2022, I remember like same type stuff. Off season, you're hearing like good reports, and they've always liked Griffith a little bit. He's like an undrafted guy, I think, isn't he? So, yeah, interesting. I mean, it's Cody Barton, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he can absolutely overtake him.
Yeah, so that's kind of my hope there anyways. Just I don't know, for those people that have, listened through here to an hour and a half of us running through every single team and training camp notes and preseason snap counts and all that kind of stuff, you get rewarded with maybe a potential Jonas Griffith dark horse waiver wire offseason pickup to kind of take advantage of if he can emerge there. But that's going to do it. We've gone through all of the training camp notes. There were quite a bit to skim through here, but hopefully that helps people get informed and ready for their drafts. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty more information to come out as this preseason rolls on here. We've only got 2 preseason games tonight, but there's going to be plenty more this weekend and plenty of information to act on. So, guys, I can't thank you enough for having me on here and acting as Josh Raymer for the episode.
Hey,
doing Josh a poor job of it.
No, Josh Raymer's got some serious competition now. I tell you what, me and Bobby are going to have some conversations after this. We may just need to get rid of him.
Hey, Josh is Cody Barton to Macri's Jonas Griffith.
Oh,
I agree completely. All right, Macri, I want to know, other than Denzel Perryman, give us 3 players you don't want to leave your draft without.
Oh God. Okay, hold on. I want to pull up my rankings here because I know that I got some names that I'm going to be higher on than maybe some other ones. And I know one of them off the top of my head is Alex Highsmith. To me, I wrote up an article this past week as, dark horse candidates to finish top at their position, which obviously is an unlikely thing. But the point of it is that they have all the potential to get there. And Alex Highsmith is somebody that checks all the boxes for me. I know he had a down year last year, didn't deliver on the sack totals, but he's a workhorse as far as edges go. He plays a ton, has excellent tackle numbers, and those pass rush metrics were set at a career high last year. So even though he didn't have the, whatever it was, 11 and a half sacks that he had the year before, all of his pass rush metrics across the board actually improved to the point where we should see some positive regression in the sack column. And then on top of what he does as a tackler as well, I found really encouraging. So Highsmith is definitely one for me. Kaiser White, I really like a lot at the linebacker position there in Arizona. There's literally no competition for him. It's going to be a lot of one linebacker sets. So again, there's less tackle competition on the play for him in those situations. And they play in a very zone heavy defense in Arizona, which really helps tackle efficiency. And he was somebody that, again, I was ranking pretty highly last year on a weekly basis, and he was delivering for the most part until he got hurt. So I like him for a nice bounce back. Other than that, I mean, I always kind of end up with a lot of Grant Delpit if I'm trying to hit on one from each position. I just feel like Grant Delpit's one of the more slept on kind of IDP safeties in the league. And again, we love these guys that play down closer to the line of scrimmage in the box, can rack up tackles, and then, we can hope for big play potential on top of that. But just starting with a nice baseline for tackles that you can get relatively cheap to the rest of some of the top safeties, Grant Delpit's probably somebody that I'll end up with quite a bit of again.
I love it. Those are all like guys that you can go out and get too. Cause I mean, none of the ADPs for those guys are out of control. Highsmith is DL 22. I love that. Edge 19. That's great. And then Kaiser White, linebacker 31. That's like beautiful. Let's see. What was Delpit?
DB 26, safety 20.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, just giving the folks what they want. Love to see it. Thank you,
awesome.
Macri.
Oh, no, thank you guys.
When that whole Cleveland Browns linebacking core is ravaged in week 2, Delpit's going to still be there.
I will say, totally thought we were going to be getting a different Alex other than Alex Highsmith. I thought that was Alex Kinkleton for sure.
Kinkleton, yeah. No, he's ranked high for me as well. I think I got him as like LB4 or something like that this year. Like, just let's go. The guy's a beast. I mean, I know, Josh has called him Alex Single Skill in the past because he only does tackles, but I mean, he's going to play a ton again. Like those big plays are going to come. And we already know that he has the elite tackling ability that we love for IDP. So he's Kinkleton to me. And he's definitely one that I'd love to have on all my rosters. You beat me out for him in the auction. I remember we were in a bit of a bidding war there, so I gave him up to you.
15.5 mil.
Yeah, I think 15 was my cutoff. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome, dude. He's gonna have a great year. Tackle rates out of control. His is the best out of every linebacker that we love. So yeah, I'm expecting an awesome season from him.
Nice. Love it. Awesome, guys. Well, that's going to do it. I can't remember how you guys all close out your show, but subscribe to the IDPshow.com, $5 a month, get your access to the draft kit and all this ADP that we've been talking about as well, and get ahead of the rest of the drafters who are just waking up from their coma from this offseason, and we'll help you win your league. So do that and tune in every week, and we'll see you again next time. Peace out.
It's the